Hello and welcome back to the Endless Runner Game tutorials. In our last video we implemented some jumping, so we had our panda and if we hit the up arrow he would jump, and in this video we want to create some enemies. So I've created this image of a brick wall. I drew that in a graphics program, and what we're going to do is start the wall off the edge of the screen and then move it to the left towards the panda, and then check if we collide with the panda, then it'll be game over, or if we don't collide, when it gets off the edge, we'll jump it back to the start, and so it will just keep looping over. We'll keep moving down. If we collide, game over. If we don't and we go off the edge, switch it back to here, so it keeps coming. Alright, so to do that, I uploaded my wall image here, and I need to now create it. So I do that outside of this animation loop, outside of the while true, because we only want to create it once. So let me do that down here and put a comment, create our first enemy, a wall. Now you could create any sort of enemy you want, and you know, if you created an animal, maybe like a bee, you could have the bee flapping its wings as it came along. That would be cool. So I'm going to say wall. That's what I'm going to call this sprite. Wall equals a sprite. It is the wall.png because that's what I saved it as. And remember, give these meaningful names so you know what they are when you look at it. And where do we want our wall to start? Well, my wall is exactly the same height as our hero, and so I will want it to be at that same position. So let's just draw it on the screen first. So remember, our screen is 1000 pixels wide. So why don't we start it off at like 900 pixels. Start it off somewhere around here. So we'll start it off at 900 pixels and on the floor. Now the floor works because these two images are the same height and the floor is that top left position there. If they're different heights you might need to adjust it slightly, but this is going to work well for my images. Okay, so remember, just creating the sprite doesn't draw it. To actually draw it, we need to do it inside the loop, and we want to do that after we've drawn all our other images. So I don't want to do it before I draw the distant background or the ground, and it doesn't really matter if I draw it before or after the panda because we're going to stop if they collide anyway. So here I'm going to say draw our enemies. In this case it's a wall, so I go wall.draw because wall was the name I gave it, and that should just draw it without moving it. Let's try that. Great. Awesome. All right, now I want that wall to be moving to the left. So to move it to the left, I would actually do wall.moveBy, and the first parameter here is how much to move it to the left. And so if I just said -1 to the left and 0 for up and down, I don't want to move it all, then we would see it start to move. See that? But really, it should be attached to the floor, so it should be moving at the same speed as our ground. And I had a variable here called ground speed, which I set to -5. So instead of using -1, I can just say ground speed, which currently is -5. So it should move at the same, so stop and start, same. Perfect. It's moving along with the ground. Now, what I want to do is if it goes off the left edge, jump it back off to the right edge. So I need an if statement. So I say if wall.y is less than. Now, remember our wall, the y property is this top left corner of it. So I don't want to switch it back when that reaches 0, because the wall hasn't disappeared off the screen at that point. I want to do it when the wall's gone past it by the width of the wall. So when this y position is less than minus the wall's width, which is, remember, the wall has a property telling you how wide it is. So if y is less than minus the wall.width, and I think my wall is only like 30 pixels wide, so that'll be if it's less than -30, then it'll be off the screen. So if the wall.y is less than minus the width of the wall, then let's move our wall. Go wall dot move it back to off the edge of the screen, which means I can move it just to the width of the screen. Remember, there's a variable also called width, which will be set to the width of this screen, which in this case is the 1000 pixels. So I can move it to the width, and we still want it to be on the floor. So now our wall should be, but it wasn't. We must have had something wrong here. Oh, not the wall.y. Oh, bad mistake. The y is how high up and down it is. When I'm moving to the left, I should be checking, shouldn't I, the x of the wall, because that is the property we want. So if the wall.x is less than the width of the wall. Now, hopefully you picked that up. Now when it goes off the edge, should make it go to the right, but error name, width is not defined on line 66. The width of the screen is just a variable in lowercase. So in this case, because we set it's whatever set canvas size is set to. So because we did set canvas size 1000, the width is set to 1000, which is what we want. So width all in lowercase. So, and again, remember, when you get an error, don't panic. It's on line 66. Go there, find out what the problem is, and fix it. So now, finally, here we go. Excellent. And I should be able to jump over those walls. And now all I need to do is check for a collision. So we use the overlaps to do that. So what I can do is I can say if panda dot overlaps the wall, if that is true, then I want to maybe go to a different state, maybe. Yeah, you know what I probably want to do here is just end this loop at all. So you know how this loop here is looping always. I'm always playing the game here. Instead of doing that, what I would say is I'll create a variable called playing equals true, and then I'll just say while playing. And so this shouldn't change. We should always keep going forever until playing becomes false. So if I set playing to false, this loop will stop, and when the loop stops, it goes on to the next bit of code that's not indented. So all this code is currently indented down to here. So then it would go on to this next bit where I could just for the moment print game over. And so if panda overlaps the wall, I just set playing equal to false, and that should cause the let's see if we just start. Oh, on line 56, got an error on line 56. Hero velocity equals. Oh, well, firstly, this is wrong here. It shouldn't have that in quotes. If panda overlaps wall. Yeah, that is the problem. All right, let's try this. Here we go. Start. Bang. And look, it printed game over. Now, if I don't collide, so I jump over it, then we're all good. Nice. Now, this is looking like a real game. Awesome. And then as soon as I collide, game over. Brilliant. All right. Glad we got this far. In the next video, we're going to just look at how we can, wrap things up. Maybe we create an introduction screen so it doesn't just start straight away with this. We create an introduction screen, and then maybe we create a better game over screen. Well, we don't have a game over screen. We just print game over. So go to a game over screen, and then maybe we have it so you can restart the game. Then what you can do is lots of things. Well, firstly, what about some sound effects? When you jump, we need a sound effect. Maybe when you land, we have a sound effect. What else could we do? We could add some background music. We could add a score. Like I said before, we could add different enemies. Maybe have an animal that comes and is also animated. Yeah, what about, did I mention scoring? So many cool things we can do. So that's what we're going to implement in our next video. Look forward to seeing you then.